Hello, welcome to another video tutorial with Kukuru Capital. This is our third episode of our support and resistance levels series, where we go through how to draw support and resistance levels and go over some basic analysis of how to use them for interpretation when you are placing a trade. Now, when it comes to support and resistance levels, we have discussed that ideally you're looking for a bounce, you're drawing your lines based on your most recent data, and it works for any time frame. Now, in this example, we're going to be using the euro and the Great British Pound Sterling in our example, and we're going to be using it on the time frame of 4 hours, and then we're going to do another example where we're using also doing our support and resistance levels on a much smaller time frame. Now, when it comes to smaller time frames, you must be alert that obviously, because the data is going to be much more under a shorter span of time, that you will be drawing more and more support and resistance levels, because you have to draw resistance levels that are up to date. Opposed to if you use a larger time frame like 4 hours, you only have to be changing your support and resistance levels perhaps every 2 weeks. But if you are more, somebody wants more precision, then you can do it after every week. So in this instance, you have your chart, and we're going to be drawing support and resistance levels on the 4-hour time frame, and we'll be looking for bounces within your chart. So ideally, we're just going to look for what we've said, bounces, and we'll be drawing on our most recent data. Now, I personally love support and resistance lines, obviously because I do price action trading. They are the center of my strategy, so I do highly recommend that you become familiar with how to use and draw these lines. So in this instance, we're going to draw obviously the most obvious line, and that's going to be our main high and then our main low. So in this case, it's going to be our main resistance is here and our main support is here. Now I'm sticking to our most recent data. It's just that if I zoom out, it's not as clear, so I'm just going to take the horizontal line tool and I just draw it at the body of the candle, and then I also draw one right at the bottom. So we have our main and most obvious support and resistance levels, this being the main resistance and this being the main support. Next thing that we're going to be looking for in our chart is our support and resistance points, which we identify by looking for places in the chart that we see strong reversals in the trend. Now, the first place I'm starting to see is around here, where we're going from a downtrend. Let me just change the style of this so that it's clear to see. So I'm just going to redraw it. So the first point I'm seeing is here. We're going from a downtrend, and then at this point we're getting a rejection of that, and then it bounces and it starts to move up, and then at this point it bounces and it starts to move down all the way to our main support line. Now, these points in the middle that people tend to want to isolate as support and resistance levels. Now, my suggestion always is that you can take note of them and test them to see if whether or not they do constitute. So I'm just going to put a little mark there so that we can come back and check whether or not this constitutes as a support and resistance level. But my strong opinion is that you're always looking for the strongest points, so you would focus on rather stronger support and resistance levels than having many levels that it can easily be broken. We can also take note of this one, this point where it goes up and then goes down, because also around the same place you're getting an uptrend and then it goes down also here. So this could also be a support and resistance level area, so we're just going to take note of that. I'm just going to draw small arrows here just so that we can remember to come and test whether or not these points are also support and resistance line levels. Drawing the other line right here. Now, I am teaching support and resistance levels, how to draw them, but we will be doing a price action series later on, because price action and support and resistance levels may be constituted as more complex principles of forex trading, but I think they're really straightforward, and I thought it would be great to do an introductory course on support and resistance levels, but we will be doing a price action series later in the year, so you can also stay tuned for that. If you want to know when we're going to be releasing that series, do sign up and subscribe to our newsletter at kakuacapital.co.za, or do follow us on Twitter and Facebook. It's both Kakua Capital is the name for both pages. So we have drawn support and resistance levels here that we're going to test and see whether they're strong enough to be considered to base a trade off of. Obviously at this point we get a strong bounce here, and then it goes down, then we get a bounce around here, then it goes up, and then we get a rejection here, and then it goes up again, and then you can say it goes up all the way, but I think this is quite interesting to note. And then it goes up all the way up to here, and then it goes down, and then it goes up again, and then it goes down, and then it's a live chart, so it's still forming and it's continuing right now. Oh, right, very important to scroll, otherwise you think you're done. Then you just goes up again, get a bounce here, it goes down up until this point, goes up, and then it goes down continuously, and now it's in an uptrend, and based on what we're seeing, it probably be an uptrend up to here. So we're now going to, I'm just going to take another tool just to highlight these points, support and resistance points that we have identified. And you can see that if you get too carried away, obviously you can have many support and resistance levels, but here we just highlighted what we believe to be the main bulk points. And also, that being said, you can't ignore a support and resistance level just because you feel that you have too many already. You have to identify all of them because they're reflective of what's happening in the market and what's happening with that currency pair and how it should be traded. So just highlighting these points, these are support and resistance points that we're going to use to draw our support and resistance levels. So once we've done that, now we just take our horizontal line tool. As you can see, this is not a long procedure, and once you get the hang of it, you're going to see how we draw this when we are trading. We don't draw these arrows or anything, we just draw the lines directly, and then we test. We can still test it, but we don't have to do as much drawings. These drawings are just an indication for people to have a good understanding that we're looking for where we're seeing a bounce in the chart. So we're just now taking our horizontal line tool and we're drawing these lines at the points that we've identified, and then we were going to test here, and they're close to each other, so I'm just going to put one in the middle, and I'm putting these two. Now you see what happens when there are two lines like this. They're not that close, they're not too close, so I'm going to let it be. But normally in most instances, when you have two support and resistance lines that are really adjacent to each other, it's better off to just put a support and resistance line right in the middle, like here, and then you delete the other two. But in this case, I think they're quite distant from each other, so I'm just going to leave them as two separate support and resistance levels. Then you just go where you're getting these points, you draw your support and resistance levels. So there you go. So now we've drawn at our support and resistance points. Now we have to do the most important part, and that's to test these levels, because you don't want to have support and resistance levels that have no purpose and are not even strong and will break easily, because then you can't base a trade off of that. Now when we do test our support and resistance levels, we do evaluate it based on older data, and remember to view these support and resistance lines as zones and not just as absolute lines. Now the first thing that we're starting to see is that our very top line is not too strong. We're not getting any other bounces off of that whatsoever, not a single bounce. So what I recommend you do is you indicate to yourself that that's not a strong line. You can do this by either changing the style of the line. I would make it dotted and slightly thinner, just to have an indication that this is not a strong support and resistance line, but it is there, but it's relatively weak. So take note of it, but don't base too many trades until you get more data on that line. I'm not seeing any other bounces. I've scrolled back, and we're seeing that that's perhaps the highest this currency pair has reached. So that may be the resistance level for the year. So you wouldn't really want to base, because it doesn't get higher than that. You don't see it ever since. It's still been going down, it's been going lower than that. So you would take that into consideration, and you wouldn't base your most important trade off of the support and resistance level. Then the next line that we want to test is this one. Now I would call this a bounce, because obviously this is line is representative of a zone. So we have a bounce off around here, perhaps not the best bounce that we could have. So we're going to look at other data. I mean, here you get a lot of ranging, but which is not the same as a bounce, but you can take it into consideration, because it does indicate that you do get that effect of resistance at that point. When we scroll back, we don't get any other support of this line. So this is a really good example that you can't just, take every single line to be. So I would do the same thing. I'll make it dotted and very thin, because it's not really very supported. It has some ranging around here, and it has this close to the zone, but I wouldn't constitute it as a strong support and resistance level. Now the next line I want to test, this one, we have a bounce here, and we do have some bouncing here, as you can see. So that's 2 bounces, which is good enough. More than 1 bounce is more than good enough. It's great. It's an indication that you have a strong support and resistance level, so you don't have to go back. And then the next line that we're going to test is this line. I'm just going to zoom out so that everything is much easier. So when we zoom out, we see we get we're testing this line. We have 1 bounce here. Oh, we're testing this line, sorry. We have a bounce here at this point, and we have a bounce here. So I'm just going to highlight that, which is good. We have a bounce here, and then if we scroll, so that gives it 2 bounces, which is more than enough. So that's a strong support and resistance line. The next one, we have a bounce here, so that's perfect. And you have some ranging over here, so that's perfect. You have about 3 bounces at this point, so that's a strong support and resistance level. Then the next line we have is this one. So our original point was here. Well, I'm gonna have to zoom in for this one. We have some ranging over here. We have some ranging, a lot of ranging at this line, but no particular. Okay, we have a bounce here. Yeah, we have a bounce at this point. We have a bounce here for this line that we're testing, and that's the only one I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of ranging there. Okay, I'll call this a bounce as well. So you get about 3 bounces, so that can constitute as a strong support and resistance line. The second line here, I mean, you already have here a bounce. You have a bounce here. I mean, this is the next line is much stronger than the one above it. So this is a much stronger line than this one, because it has more bounces. So you would take into consideration that some people do color code their lines and variate the thickness according to the importance of the support and resistance lines. I also do that. So lines that have 2 bounces, I'll give them a different weighting to support and resistance lines that have 3 or 4 bounces. And obviously lines that are very weak, I can even delete some of them, but just to take note, because maybe they're strengthened with time. In the future, maybe the price will go up, and then you have more than 1 bounce, so you wouldn't want to really delete it. But I would not place a lot of weight on that. So visually, I'll have a good indication of what are my strong support and resistance levels and which ones are the weak ones. And then to test this line, we have support and resistance here, support and resistance here, support and resistance here. Good line. I mean, this is a really good line. These 3 lines are proving to be perhaps the strongest. So anything in this area, I would be very cautious and would enter into a trade. Now everything looks much smaller because I zoomed out, but when I do zoom in, you see that there's a lot of space between these, so there's a lot of potential there to enter good trades. And this is the Euro, Great British Pound Sterling, which is for some time was a very volatile currency pair. So using your support and resistance lines, you do hash out from the volatility, and you are able to make good entry points. Opposed to when the markets are volatile, some indicators do represent a lot. They will start to give you a lot of false breakouts, a lot of false entry points. So by doing support and resistance lines, you do bring clarity on that kind of issue. Here you have support and resistance, support and resistance, support and resistance, support and resistance. I mean, this is a really good line. Have we tested this line? Okay, this is the line that we were cautious of. Now, just from what I'm seeing, this line here is one of those lines that we were testing, but I'm only seeing one bounce from two bounces already. Okay, so that's fine, perfect. And then this line, now we're doing our bottom lines, we have already a couple of bounces, a lot of bounces actually. And then our final bottom line, our bottom line, yeah, it holds quite a bit. It holds here, so we have more than one bounce, and it holds here, so we have 3 bounces. So these support and resistance lines are good. We can enter trades, we can use them to enter and exit a trade. Now obviously this is the main concept with support and resistance lines. When inside a support line, you're gonna place a long position and you're gonna put your take profit at the next resistance, and if it's at a resistance, you're gonna place a short position and place your take profit at the next, if it's at at the next support line. And your stop loss, if you're taking a short position, will be above your resistance level. If you're taking a long position, it will be below your support level. And then your take profit will obviously be at, if you're taking a short position, your take profit will be at your support. If you're taking a long position, your take profit will be at your resistance. So now we're going to do another example in the next episode about support and resistance, but we're going to be doing it on a shorter time frame, and that's the 5-minute time frame, because you can use these support and resistance levels on any time frame. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or queries, do feel free to contact us at kukuacapital.co.za. Thank you for watching.